Hello friends, professional colleagues and knowledge seekers of GST. I invite all of you today to this program, which is a very brief session on simplified version of GST related to certain topics which could be of interest to common man, academia, business owners, industrialists, professional colleagues, students, housewives, etc. Everybody has something in mind, few questions about GST. The first and foremost question that comes to anyone's mind is, how come GST is going to impact an individual or a common man, and whether it's going to impact positively or negatively when it comes to the purchasing power of a common man. So without much digging into all these particular aspects, let us go in a very simplified manner and structure to understand whether GST is really beneficial to a common man or it is not. So let me speak about it, that when we say GST, the punchline itself says that one nation, one tax. The structure of GST is such that it itself carries multiple benefits within its structure. For instance, whenever we talk about GST, the taxes, that is the credits on the input taxes which are paid at each stage, are available for set off or credits at the subsequent stage or production stage of value addition. What I mean to say is that ultimately each particular stage of production does not end up paying multiple indirect taxes, but ultimately the indirect tax is paid by the final consumer, which happens at the last stage of the value addition. To cut short, the consumer is not burdened or loaded with various value added taxes which was happening in the earlier regime. किसी किसी के दिमाग में ये आ सकता है कि कोई हमें ये बताए कि अल्टीमेटली अगर मैं आंकड़ों के तहत जाता हूं तो किस तरीके से जीएसटी मेरे लिए फायदेमंद हो सकता है. So for that particular point, I would like to say or share with my friends that if we go by an analysis, let us say that a particular consumer is buying goods on a daily basis on which he is paying, say, excise duty at the rate of 12.5% and VAT which is given on the face of the invoice at the rate of 14%. When we add up all these together, it translates roughly into 25 to 28% of taxes on an average on many of the products that are available in India. With the introduction of GST regime, which would be in the range of say 17 to 19% or roughly 18%, it simply means that there would be reduction in prices just by virtue of taxes to the extent of 7% to 9%. If this reduction in taxes is completely passed on by the manufacturers to the ultimate consumer, it's going to ultimately bring reduction in the prices of all the goods, thereby causing inflation to fall further. This is a very good news not only on the inflation front, but it's equally good when we are concerned about the economic activity, because more purchasing power means more consumption, and more consumption will translate into incremental GDP growth for India. This will attract more foreign investment from overseas people who are very keenly looking to invest in a very favorable destination, which will emerge to be India in days to come if GST is successfully implemented. Next point that comes to mind is, what about the services? As far as services are concerned, my friends, I should say that will become dearer or costlier by incrementally 3%, because currently we are levying 15%, but under GST that will translate into 18%. So to sum up, as far as the impact on the common man is concerned, goods will become cheaper, whereas services will become dearer or costlier. Let us now talk today about what are the principles on which GST is based in India. When we talk about levying of indirect taxes in any country, normally the principle on which indirect taxes are based is either the place of origin or the place of destination. Based on this particular principle, four scenarios could emerge. The first scenario says that both the states, that is the state of origin as well as the state of destination, in the course of interstate movement of goods from one state to another, the taxes will be levied by both the states. In the scenario number 2, none of the states, that is the origin state as well as the destination state, does not impose any taxes on the value of the goods. In both these scenarios, the situation is quite undesirable because in the first condition, there would be double taxation on the value of the goods, and in the second scenario, there would be no taxes at all, which also is not good from economic point of view. Going by the third condition, which is the third scenario, it could happen that only the origin state, that is only one state, will impose indirect taxes on the value of the goods. In this situation, we will say that taxation is based on origin principle. For instance, excise duty in India is levied on the place of manufacture and it is taxed at the time of removal of goods from the factory. The last one is the taxes are levied on basis of destination or consumption, which means that the importing state or the state where ultimately goods are consumed will be taxing those particular goods. Now, when we talk about the GST, GST is purely based on destination consumption rather than on origin. What happens when we put the taxes on destination based? In such a scenario, let us say that if we are exporting any particular goods out of India, those particular exports will become nil rated because we are ultimately exporting the goods in a territory which is not within our national domain, and hence it is subject to nil rate of duty. Similarly, when we are importing any particular goods, we are taxing those imports at the rate which is equal to the GST rate, so that imported goods as well as the domestically produced goods both are at the same level playing field. It simply means that destination based principle appears to be quite refined when it is concerned as far as the competition of domestic industry with the foreign players are concerned. So in India, we are going with the destination based principle rather than the origin based principle, and it simply means that those particular states which were producing enormously, dramatically up till now will stand to lose when GST is achieved. Moreover, states which are enjoying good consumption will have to gain more revenues once GST is implemented. How the state governments will tackle with these kind of losses? For that, the central government has designed a package with each particular state to compensate them for the losses, and for this, different particular states have agreed with the center based on their losses. The GST Council has recommended that these particular packages for compensating to individual states should not exceed more than 5 years in any given situation. With this, I end up this particular session. Thanks all of you.